Well, hey, big fella. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Brickmaker channel, and today I'm bringing you another top 5 video for Fallout 4. In this video we'll be discussing the top 5 melee weapons that are in Fallout 4. This was actually a pretty difficult video to narrow down. There is so many brilliant melee weapons to use, and I'm actually quite a big fan of using melee weapons in my casual playthroughs. If you guys want more videos just like this, please remember to leave a like, leave a comment down below on another type of list you want me to make, and let's get straight into the video. Number 5 on my list is the Shishkebab, a weapon that's made an appearance in pretty much most Fallout games. If you want to get this weapon, you have to do a bit of a strange quest for it in Fallout 4, but a lot more different than previous games. In Fallout 3 you were able to build the Shishkebab, in Fallout New Vegas you were able to buy the Shishkebab, but in this game you've got to go earn the Shishkebab. And in fact the quest to get the Shishkebab is pretty strange. It's a pretty rare quest as well. Not rare in the sense of getting it to spawn up, but it involves the Finch family, just a kind of a normal settlement that you would, come into contact with through the Minutemen or the Brotherhood of Steel quest lines and side quests. In this situation, Jake Finch has given the Shishkebab to Slag. Slag in Scotland means something very different than it does in Fallout 4. And the quest can end with either Jake coming to his senses or kind of joining the gang and attacking you. However, despite all that, you got to defeat Slag so you can get your hands on the Shishkebab. I won't mention anything else about the quest, I'll let you guys discover it for yourselves, but with the Shishkebab it only gets one extra attachment in mods. And other than that, it's just a very powerful melee weapon which is a lot of fun to use. It's a sword with a gas canister on it, which makes the entire blade light up on fire. The biggest appeal of the Shishkebab though is just how cool it looks. I mean, it's literally a flaming sword with a gas canister on it, and it's, you swing it and it lights up on fire. It's a pretty cool effect. I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I think it might be the only melee weapon that is constantly on fire. Again, I could be wrong on that, but it's the only one that's come to mind as I'm recording this. And once you've picked it up, you can return it back to the Finch family, or you can do what I did. I went to the forge without ever meeting the Finches sometimes, and at that point you can never drop it. You can never lose it again. And that's how it got into my list. A nice, sweet, respectable number 5. Number 4 is Pickman's Blade. I adore Pickman's Blade. This is the first weapon on this list that has a legendary effect, and this is simply the best legendary effect in the game. By far. Bar none! Now I know there's a great argument for something like the explosive effect, and there's a very strong argument for something like 2-shot. But the bleed effect has something that's oh so perfect. It stacks. It is a stackable effect. When you hit something with bleed, it has 25 damage to come off, and if you hit them again, it has another 25. To get this, you come here to Pickman's Gallery right next to the Old North Church, and you'll have to clear out a bunch of raiders. To actually get it, it's behind this painting, A Picnic for Stanley, but it has a master lock safe. That is not a problem though, because the actual quest line to get Pickman's Blade without having to pick anything is, pretty interesting. You work your way through Pickman's house and you come across a bunch of raiders. It turns out Pickman is a serial eater, I'll just say that much. And he eats people. But not good people, he eats only raiders as a serial eater, if you know what I mean. And once you save him, he gives you a key to open up Pickman's safe, where you will find the Pickman's Blade, and a bunch of other goodies you can sell. Now I previously mentioned that stack damage, that 25, 25, 25, and what that actually does is if you hit something once, and then you immediately hit them again, it just cuts that 25 damage right out. So you'll start noticing you'll see it here when I fight this Deathclaw. I get one stab in, and then, I get picked up and thrown on my head first, but not too much for this damage. You just stab, and you see just big chunks. Every time you hit them, another huge chunk comes down, and it starts to really speed up that bleed. Once you've got enough hits in, you can just back up and allow the enemy to fall over by themselves. Now the character I'm running right now, I don't think I put anything into melee at all for this. I'm pretty sure this is my Knight Titus build, which if you guys haven't seen that video, it's out now on the channel. And even with no points into any sort of melee damaging or upgrading this weapon at all, it's still, look at the damage I've got into that Alpha Deathclaw already. Now the perfect weapon is a gun that has bleed damage. Those are unbelievable. I had a radium rifle with the wounding effect and it was by far the best weapon I've ever had. But usually you find these on melee weapons inside Fallout 4 because having guns with guaranteed wounding effects is a bit OP. If you guys like to carry a melee weapon with you at all times, the Pickman's blade is easy to find, easy to pick up and just unbelievably powerful, which is why it gets number 4 on my list. Number 3 is Atom's Judgment. Now this weapon gets on this list purely for the aesthetic alone. I mean, this is why I wish Bethesda did so many more unique weapons that got unique designs. Weapons like the Deliverer and Atom's Judgment, they get these unique skins for them, and it's the 4 fusion cores tied together that are just melting on the end of a sledgehammer. It's just, it's beautiful. It's so well designed, and I wish there was just more and more of these unique weapons. To get Atom's Judgment, you have to complete a quest. You have to complete a quest for the Children of Atom in Far Harbor. So this is technically a Far Harbor weapon, a DLC weapon. Now the Children of Atom are not everyone's favourite faction in the game, and I doubt that many people enjoy them even for casual or just ironic playthroughs, but luckily getting Atom Judgment is a very early quest line and it doesn't conflict with any other sort of factions in the game. When completing it along, to speed it up, find this little church symbol as you're going around the campgrounds. That speeds up the whole end of the quest. You can just cut out the end part when you have to go to the small campsite, and you gotta find the ruined church where Gwyneth is in here. Now the actual quest has sent you off here to deal with Gwyneth by taking her out, but you can use your charisma, you can convince her to leave the island or just speed it along and make her leave. And Grand Zealot Riker will then give you Atom's Judgment as a reward for completing the quest. No matter how you complete it, he will reward you with this weapon. Now, you can see the damage is very high, but the biggest part is that plus 100 radiation damage as well. Pretty much just adding 100 of unhealable damage to your weapon. If you guys don't know how radiation works on enemies, it's the same as it works on you. You get them 100 radiation damage, their health bar gets an unfixable amount of radiation damage. If they have Radaway, they can try and fix it, but more or less characters that you fight in the game don't really have Radaway or anything that gets rid of radiation. It does, however, have a big drawback that if you're fighting something like super mutants or feral ghouls or any sort of enemy that regains health through radiation, Atom Judgment is, you know, a bit of a 2-step forwards, 1-step back kind of weapon. But that doesn't mean that when you're fighting raiders and synth that this weapon doesn't just pound. It pounds. Would I say it's more effective than Pickman's blade? Probably not. But look at it. It's got 3rd place purely on looks alone, and that's why it's number 3 on my list. Number 2 on my list is Crem's Tooth. Now this weapon has so many reasons to why it got number 2 on my list. So many. First of all, it's got a unique design similar to Atom's Judgment. Look at it. That's sick. It's a machete, if you didn't know. It's supposed to be a unique machete. But when I first got this weapon, I had no idea it was supposed to be a machete. It is found in the Dunwich Boars, which, if you follow the Dunwich legends and the monsters from Fallout 3, it's a very interesting side story that the Fallout universe has built. In Fallout 4, the location is called Dunwich Boars. We've had the Dunwich building before, the Dunwich people, but here in Fallout 4 it's Dunwich Boars, which is a huge mine that is completely occupied by raiders. It's actually a location you can be requested to clear out for some of the settlements for maybe the Minutemen or something along those lines, but in here there's a bunch of raiders that occupy the outside, but the deeper and deeper that you go in, the raiders first of all start making a lot less sense and start saying a lot of crazier things. and you get random hallucinations as well. Well, are they hallucinations or are they brief glimpses into the past? I'm not going to get into anything about the Dunwich monsters or the things in Fallout 3 or Fallout 76 because first of all, I am not educated or qualified enough to discuss any of it. I do not understand it enough to bring up in this video. But from the limited stuff that I do know, it's fascinating. And having this kind of named ghouls and the sacrificial area and this big, huge, massive eye at the bottom of this random pool is just, it adds so much to the weapon. I mean, it's got to number 2 on this list. It adds so much. You find it here sitting between 2 mini nukes, and it has 2 legendary abilities. It has the bleed effect and the poison effect. We've already discussed the bleed effect at length. Fantastic, stacks, no problem. Just add on a poison effect while you're at it. Go on then, I'll have that. Yes please, I'll have what she's having. Despite Pickman's blade's faster attack speed, this just, like, it's hard to explain. It's got the lore. The first time I found it, it's this stupid thing you have in video games where you're like, oh, I think I'm the only one that's ever found this. Of course you aren't, but when I first found it playing Fallout 4 at university, I was like, oh, this is rare. It's not, everyone knows what it is now, but at the time, it made me, Krem's tooth made me feel special. And it deserves to make me feel special because it's probably the most unique weapon in the game and special weapon in the game. 2 legendary effects, its own different model for its blade, making it easily number 2 on my list. Before we get to number 1, I wanted to add in just a quick honourable mention. The 2076 World Series baseball bat is, well, it's a baseball bat. What else can you say about it? That it has the best legendary effect in the whole goddamn game. Better than bleed, better than 2-shot. Why? Because randomly you knock people over the walls and over the goddamn other side of the map. To get this weapon, you gotta head yourself over to Jamaica Plains. Now, be careful, you gotta take out a bunch of feral ghouls in the meantime, but a very small price to pay to get this weapon. You gotta head over to the building that's got the statue out front. Now, if you've got the block pick skill, you can just get right through this door. If not, you can do the kind of mini quest of finding the treasure of Jamaica Plain, open up all the safes, get the quest line, but the most important thing you gotta do is find the key for him on Carl Everett here. You have the key to the basement. Heading through that basement, you can pretty much complete this however you like. Grab the janitor ID. This is a great place to get fiber optics and crystals. This is really, really good. Or you can just run through it if you can't be bothered and take out the turrets. However, I would recommend making sure you grab all the fiber optics and crystals. It's a great way. They're expensive to buy, and it's probably the biggest find of them you'll ever get in the game, pretty much. Once you get through here, put in the password on its computer, open the door, and then you have found yourself in the treasure of Jamaica Plain. In the cabinet on the right, you will find the 2076 World Series baseball bat. Now, in terms of stuff like damage and speed, it's got nothing really that special about it. It's just the unique legendary effect. The target has a small chance of going flying. It has the same upgrades as all the other baseball bats. You can change its colors, you can make it aluminium, you can put a chain on it, you can attach a goddamn rocket to it, you can put coils on it, you can add a blade to it. Anything you can do with other baseball bats, you can do to this one. Now this is what it does. Bosh! And he flies over the diner. This isn't limited to just small enemies. You can also knock Swan right out of Swan's pond with a very, very well-timed shot. However, in making this video, I went back to get a bunch of footage, and originally this one was going to be either 4th or 5th on my list. In an effort to get the footage, I swiftly realized just how rare it is. I spent about 15 minutes hitting Swan, and I only got one hit where he went flying, which is why, unfortunately, the 2076 baseball bat can only get an honorable mention on my list. Now, number 1 for me is the Harvester. Far Harbor is a DLC. It might be top 3 DLC for any Fallout game. It introduced so many brilliant weapons, and here right in front of you is a Harvester, which to me is the best melee weapon in the game. And to get it is very simple. All you've got to do is head over to Echo Lake Lumber. Now you'll get a quest line for the people of Far Harbor to go here anyway, but you can just head here straight away without having to do any of those sort of hoops. There'll be a lot of feral ghouls and fog ghouls lying around, not too difficult to take out. There's no locks or anything behind it, and if you come up to this big red steamer trunk, the Harvester will be right in there. I've already collected it, so it's not in there for me right now, but that is where you will find it. You can add an extended blade to it, which gives it more bleed damage as well, which... it's at that point, it might be the best weapon in the game, not just melee. And the reason why it's so good is that the Harvester has the Stagger legendary effect. Now, Stagger on most weapons isn't that effective because you have a small chance of the enemy staggering. But what the Harvester has that other weapons doesn't have is it's not just a very fast rate. It attacks about once every, quarter of a second. Which means that small chance to stagger is pretty much guaranteed in any sort of fight. As you can see on screen, once you get a Deathclaw, a Rad Scorpion, and you start hitting them with the Harvester, they are stun locked to the point where they are completely unable to fight back. They cannot fight back. I mean, this Alpha Deathclaw, I am literally just shuffling his big goofy ass across the glowing sea, and there is nothing he can do. He is constantly in stagger mode. And you might be thinking, well, this weapon's great one-on-one, but what happens when there's multiple people? No problem. Your big enemy that you're fighting, he's staggered so much, he's pretty much a shield. You can dance around the Deathclaw while the other Deathclaw chases you. While the Deathclaw in the middle staggers himself and is unable to move. Fighting Swan, fighting other behemoths, Deathclaws, fighting the giant hermit crabs is so easy when you're using the Harvester, which is why it's guaranteed number 1 on this list. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making this. I've been really enjoying these top 5, top 10 lists for Fallout games, so if you guys have more suggestions, please leave them down below. In terms of my next challenge run, I'm going to be taking a little break from Fallout 4. I've been playing it quite a lot recently, and the next one should be in Fallout 3, so look forward to that. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like below, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.